Welcome to another life-transforming episode of It's Time. Thank you for inviting us in your home, car, hotel room, or prison cell. It's time for healing, restoration, truth, repentance, and deliverance. Open your heart and prepare to receive inspiration and revelation. It's time. Hello, world. Welcome to another telecast of It's Time, brought to you by Ministers Without Boundaries, a nonprofit organization located in Palm Bay, Florida. Today, we want to talk about the 4 types of intimacy that will make your marriage stronger. You may be wondering why we like to talk about marriage and divorce and all of that, but I do realize that if your marriage is not in a safe place, then your salvation or your relationship with Christ will not be in a safe place. Hence, it will interfere with your destiny. As a disclaimer, we are not marriage therapist or counselor. We simply want to empower, encourage, enlighten, and uplift you so you can be in a better place with your spouse and with God. Today with me is no stranger to It's Time, is Mr. and Mrs. Brenda and Jeff Williams. Welcome back to It's Time.
Thank you so much for having us.
The last time you guys were here, oh my God, I don't know where the time went. And please promise me that you'll come back because we are not finished.
Sure.
Yes. I know you guys are extremely busy. And this episode, I'm sure, will be just as interesting.
Yes.
All right. The last time you were here, I was brought to tears a little bit because you mentioned that when you found out your diagnosis, you told your husband, honey, take me to a nursing home. And he said, no, we're going to stick it out together.
Yes.
And what I heard him offset, that he's the one who shopped for your clothes, your clothing.
He does. Yes, he does.
Wow. I take my hat, even though I'm not wearing a hat, I take my hat off to you, Mr. Jeff. And I'm saying all of this to show the qualification that they both have to speak about marriage, how it can be improved, how it can be enhanced, and to talk about these 4 types of intimacy. You guys refer to them as pillars, and that's emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, spiritual intimacy, intellectual intimacy. Mr. Jeff, I'll start with you first. Please define for me intimacy.
Well, there's a desire for all of us as human beings to want to have that closeness with another person. And so intimacy, we define intimacy as intimacy. And we believe that it's simply saying that I want to have a connection with my spouse, that she sees what I am feeling, she understands where I am going, and she knows that I do the same thing for her. When you have that type of connection, we believe that it pushes out anything that the devil wants to do to cause division, because you are so unified together, because you have that closeness that is just nothing that the enemy can try to prevent.
Very good. And both of you also have a ministry. And what's the name of that ministry?
It's Hearts Intertwined, marriage ministry at Truth Reveal.
Truth Reveal, under the leadership of
Bishop Merton Clark.
Bishop Merton Clark.
We meet on every 3rd Saturday night at the Truth Reveal.
Let me ask you, Mr. Jeff. Let's start with emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy, how do you define that? Emotional intimacy.
Emotional intimacy is the connection of your thoughts. Now, truth be told, one of the things that when we're talking to couples, I really stress to them, I want to find out how much time are they using on their tablets, on their phones, and I'll find out. Well, I have a TV in my shed, I have a TV in my garage, I have a TV in my bathroom, I have a TV in my bedroom, I have a TV in my office, I have a TV in my kitchen. And one of the things that we first ask is that they cut those devices and give them a break. Because you cannot connect emotionally. Emotional intimacy is the connection of your thoughts and your mind. And so what tends to happen is we want affirmations. And if we're not getting those from our spouse, then we start seeking affirmations
Elsewhere.
from other places, which is, again, another way that the enemy comes in through these different platforms and even television, where you'll find yourself wanting to watch the housewives of whatever and thinking that's what
reality.
And that's not reality. And so cut those devices off. What we call oneness days, those are days that we're just going to lock in on each other and emotionally just connect. So it's just the time that you have to connect with your spouse emotionally. I want to hear how you're feeling. I want to know what you're dealing with at this moment. I have a very high stressful job, and so for me, Brenda understands that there are certain times I just need to talk.
Right.
I just need to be able to talk and express all the frustrations that I'm having, and she's able to give me some great advice. I've learned as a husband, when she goes to those same emotions where she just wants to talk, I want to try to solve those. She's not necessarily want me to solve them.
Yeah, just need someone to listen.
Listen.
Yes.
And so, again,
Typical women.
so getting into emotionally connected, you start to understand what your role is and when I need to be that listener or when I need to be that person that's actually
That
trying
fixer.
to fix her.
Yes. Yes.
So what are some of the things that cause that stressful moment where you just want to vent? What are some of the things, and how can it affect your marriage?
Again, jobs can be one of the key components that cause you to have issues. Health is another thing. We're dealing in a society now where there's a lot of different things that are pulling at us, and when we have that happen, you're seeing a lot of people that are dealing with anxiety, and so when you have the ability to talk about it and to get it out and express what's going on with someone that is not judging you, but just wants to try to be there to support
That's
you.
a key point right there.
Yes.
The judgment.
Yes.
Whether the husband judging the wife or the wife judging the husband.
Yes.
At times they do feel judged. They feel like they're not being listened to. They're not being heard. They're not being understood. How can they do things differently so that each other feel validated, feel understood, and feel heard?
Key to that is a safe place. In order for everyone to be fair in that game, there has to be a safe place. If there is any violence, if there is any aggression or unforgiveness, you'll find it's not a safe place. And if there's not a safe place, I can't be totally transparent.
Right.
Okay.
And if you're not being totally transparent, then now you can't connect emotionally.
What would you consider to be a safe place?
A safe place is where I am making sure that we are, I am not, if I have wronged, then I'm asking for forgiveness.
Okay.
If there is an offense, we're discussing how we can fix the offense. Not just jumping over it. When we talked about just forget about it. No, we need to address it. We need to talk about it. We need to see how we can fix that situation and make it into a place that's
What's
safe.
the best time to talk about a situation when something happen, when something's not going wrong and you feel agitated about it? What's the best time to
I'll let
talk
Brenda
to
answer that.
address?
I would say the best time is after we've taken a few deep breaths and de-escalated our emotions. And a lot of times we'll circle back around and say, Jeffrey, I'd like to talk about what kind of made me not feel a certain way. A lot of times I don't go right into it. I just kind of, okay, get my thoughts together and get my nice words together. I don't want
Your nice words.
Yeah, I don't want to escalate it. I want to de-escalate it. So I just kind of make that safe place and really thinking about what I want to discuss and my tone. I don't come to him
That's important.
in that nagging, aggressive tone. I may, if I feel like he's not hearing me, I might escalate, but a lot of times it's the tone and how I deal with, we deal with each other.
I know you both believe that every marriage can be improved. How so?
Because I think that if you are willing to, it comes from first acknowledging where you're at. I think that's an issue that when we're dealing with couples that we hear quite a bit. Sometimes we live in denial, and it's very easy to cover it up when there's a bunch of activities going on. Kids, when you're in that first tier of your life, you got kids and you're getting them off to baseball, and you're doing all these different things. It's easy to just kind of cover it. But when the kids are gone and it's just you and that spouse in the home, a lot of times that's when it really it's come to a head, and it hasn't been addressed for 16, 17, 18 years.
Ouch.
And so that's when it really becomes really hard. But I think you have to address those issues. You have to come to a space that allows you to say, we really need to deal with the elephant in the room, and whether that
And how do you suggest that they deal with that?
I was going to say, it may cause you to say, we may need to get some counseling. This is bigger than us just sitting and talking. We may need a referee, someone that we feel comfortable with, that can counsel us and walk us through the steps and help us through this. Marriage Enrichment on the third Saturday night at Truth Reveal is another good space. There you're going to get biblical foundation principles that can help you with those challenges.
One question before we go to break. How do you make each other feel heard and understood? Before you answer that, we'll be right back.
Are you satisfied with the way your loved one is being treated in their golden years? Are you comfortable with their level of care? Are you pleased with the facility, their new home? Do you sleep well at night, believing that their environment is safe? Do you believe they're receiving personalized care? If you answer no to any of the above, it's time to give Eden's Garden Assisted Living Facility a call today. A nurse is always on premises, and their monthly rates are affordable and all-inclusive. They're in Palm Bay, Florida. Don't delay. Call today.
Welcome back to It's Time. If you're just joining us, I have with me Mr. and Mrs. Brenda and Jeff Williams from the Truth Reveal International Ministry. And they too have a ministry called
Hearts Intertwined, Marriage Enrichment Ministry.
I just asked a question before we went to the break, and that is, how do you make each other feel heard and understood?
Well, for me, I think it's very important that I don't hold anything in. As men, we have a tendency to want to not to be confrontational as so much, and so you may find that we'll hold things in and we'll carry it. And so for me, it's very important that I make sure that she here's my grievances or my things that I feel it needs to be addressed. And I want to make sure that I'm very clear with that. So to set that up, I want to make sure it's in an environment where I can be heard, meaning that I don't want the TV. It may be something we do on a walk. It may be something we do when we're sitting outdoors at a cafe having a cup of coffee. But I want to make sure that there is no distractions when I'm expressing my feelings in that situation. I want to make sure that she's hearing me.
Today we're talking about 4 types of intimacy that can make your marriage stronger. We just addressed emotional intimacy. We'll now move to intellectual intimacy. Explain that for me.
Intellectual intimacy intellectual intimacy. Okay. Intellectual intimacy is the where you both are working together to deal with things that's important to you.
Meaningful conversations.
Conversations, things that you both are, things that you're interested in. I want Brenda to be interested in. For instance,
your beliefs,
my beliefs, ideas. But for me, I have a strong thing with sports. I love sports. And so I think it's important that if your spouse is into a certain hobby or something that they're into. Let's just say if it is something your wife is into, knitting, or she has something that she enjoys doing, it's important that you learn about that. So get some knowledge. So whatever, if you want to connect intellectually, get knowledge about what is entertaining to your spouse.
Right.
What do you do to try to make sure you're connecting with me intellectually?
One of the things I do, because like he said, he loves sports, and now it's football season, and he watches football on Monday nights, Sundays. I have at least started to be involved when his favorite team is playing. I'm not able to be in there every game because he watches quite a bit of sports, and sometimes I'll say to him, "Didn't we watch that game yesterday?" And he'll, want to watch it over and over and over. So I tend to try to connect with him intellectually with his sports. That's one of the areas of where I'm coming along.
So in other words, that's a topic, sports spark a meaningful discussion.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
But she's got to have the knowledge. And if Brenda is doing right now, she's learning all different things about her independence for her vision.
Right.
And so it's important for me then, if I see something that allows us to have that conversation when she's talking about Braille, or I want to make sure I'm educating myself so that we can talk about those things. So it's getting the knowledge so that you can articulate with your spouse about what's important to them up here.
So intellectual intimacy is gaining knowledge
Yes.
about what your spouse is
Yes.
interested in.
That's
Yes.
it.
Got it.
Yes.
All right, let's jump to physical intimacy.
Okay?
And physical intimacy, we hear the word intimacy and the first thing comes to our mind is sex. But we're talking beyond sex now.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yes, because if you talk to couples who only dealt with sex, they had that connection and it was for them, and they said, wow, that was an awesome thing. But you now look at them 2 years, 3 years down the road and they're no longer together. You understand sexual intimacy is not what physical is about. It's about the touching. It's about the connecting.
Non-sexual touch.
The sexual touch, but it's also just the connection or touching. There's a certain way that Brenda can touch me if I am struggling, or even if I'm angry. She can touch me in a certain way that helps to tone me down. It's the gestures of affirmations.
Right.
It's saying to her that she's able to do certain things. It's more than just the actual sexual interaction.
Good point. So what are some of the ways you can enhance physical closeness beyond sexual intimacy?
Holding hands. When you're walking to the car together, you're going to open the door for your spouse. You're going to make sure that she feels, giving her gestures that lets her know that you like what she's wearing today.
Yes.
My wife tells me if I smell a certain, she smells, oh, you smell very good.
Yes.
So it's constantly letting them know that you're into them.
Right.
And it can be a physical touch, but it doesn't necessarily lead to sex.
Good point. Some people are not comfortable expressing their physical needs and desire. Why is that? And how can they do better?
Well, I think one of the keys to that is to be able to, it goes back to when we talked about having that openness where everything is open. And
We can have a heart-to-heart talk.
yes.
Right.
And if you have that openness, then you're to a spot where you can communicate, this is what I enjoy, this is what I don't enjoy. So it's having that communication, open line of communication, you're able to share with each other openly as to what your likes and dislikes are.
I realize that the level of affection in most marriage today is at its all-time low. What can be done to take it up a few notches?
I think that's a good question because I think a lot of people get married, and I always tell them to go back to what you did before you got married. You got to go back to what you were doing when you were dating. So if you were dating and you guys just liked to enjoy walking on the beach, it doesn't take a lot of money, and that's the part I think we get into these grandiose vacations and we want to do. No, sometimes it's the most simplest things. Having a picnic It's just you and
Picnic
her.
for two.
Yeah, just you
Right.
and her having a time together. But you have to schedule it. You have to be very intentional with it.
Intentional, that's the
Yes.
word
You have
right
to
there.
be very intentional where you say, to this Saturday, we're going to do this, this, and this. Again, it doesn't require a lot of money, but it does take intentionality because you have to plan it.
And sometimes I see that you have to set boundaries because we're pulled in so
That's
many
good.
different ways. And you have to say, I scheduled this Saturday night with my wife, and everything else is on the back burner until we spend that quality time together.
Okay. I have one question before we go to the break. Do you feel spiritually connected with your spouse? Before you answer that, let's take a commercial break.
Did you know there were reasons that prevent our prayers from being answered?
No, I didn't.
38 reasons for unanswered prayers.
Wow. Tell me more.
After I read it, it felt like 2,000 volts ran through my heart. It's eye-opening and thought-provoking. You know what I love about it? It reveals my nonverbal thoughts and exposes my innermost secrets. Believe me, it's life-changing.
Now I'm curious. I want to know why my prayers are not being answered.
He was rejected, scarred, and dethroned to become the Lamb upon the cross, the only sacrifice found worthy. He broke the chains that condemned you and me. Oh, I found Jesus upon his throne. And I knew the battle was won.
I found Jesus. We all found Jesus on It's Time. Beautiful song. Welcome back, Brenda and Jeff. My question to you was, do you guys feel spiritually connected? And if so, how do you maintain such intimacy?
I believe that we feel very spiritually connected. And the ways that we maintain that is through prayer. There's so many nights when we're just joining hand in prayer and we're praying for each other. I'm praying for him. God, give him the wisdom that it takes and the knowledge to lead our family. And he's praying for me. God, give her that resilience that she needs to be able to walk through this journey. So the way we maintain it is we continually are praying for each other. We're continually doing our Bible studies. We're continually doing devotions. We're continually having praise and worship in our home. Sometimes we just break out singing, and I'm normally off key. But
I say that's not it, Brenda. That's not it.
Yeah. But we're worshiping.
Yes.
So I would say that's the way that
You
we're able to
such
maintain
spiritual intimacy.
Yes.
Brenda and Jeff, thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
I do hope that you'll come again. We enjoy that segment. Folks, there you have it. It's time to be intentional about your relationship. It's time to be intentional about your salvation. It's time to be intentional about where you want to spend eternity. Join us, same time, same place. It's time.
Hi, I'm Evangelist Jasmine Gordon. Thank you for inviting me in your home, car, hotel room, and place of work. I do hope you've gained something from this soul-stirring episode. We would love to hear from you. Call, text, or write us at the information listed below. And if you are led to sow into Ministries Without Boundaries, you may do so via Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, or the P.O. Box. And don't forget to join us for another soul-stirring episode right here. For It's Time.